It's amusing to find the government talking to us about the need to forget colonialism, yet every minister goes to London to curry favors. If that is not going back to colonialism, what is? In the past, it was Britain. This time, it's likely to become the United States of America. And America is not interested in buying from India, it wants to sell to India. Hi, this is RN Bhaskar from Bhaskar Ki Business Baatein. Every week we come to you with a policy analysis, sometimes the business story, and sometimes a business conversation. Today, we are going to talk to you about a policy, not exactly a policy, but policies that create a situation that could be very alarming for India. And this time we're going to discuss a part of history and a part of today. We're going to talk about the East India Company. The East India Company was the company that came to India to trade and gradually started making friends with some kings and fought against another king, and little by little it became the king itself. And India lost its independence for over 100 years of British history. And the British could rule over India because of three reasons. One, Indian kings were too divided. They could not put up a unified front. Two, the British had superior weaponry. And three, Indians were not even aware how the British were looting us. How much did the British loot us? Well, we've got two estimates. One, a researcher at Columbia University, which has pointed out that the East India Company took away about $45 trillion from India. Remember, India's GDP is under 4 trillion. Now you understand what $45 trillion can be. The second was a book by Chashit Tarur, and he also gave a lecture at Oxford on the same subject. Listen to him saying the same thing.
The total value of everything that was taken out of India, India, by the way, suffering from recession at that time and poverty and hunger, was in today's money £8 billion. You want quantification? It's available.
Both of them talked about how the British systematically looted India. So what does that have to do with today? Many things. First, it's amusing to find the government talking to us about the need to forget colonialism, yet every minister goes to London to curry favors. If that is not going back to colonialism, what is? Two, India has not forgotten that India lost its independence because it divided its people. Every policy today is geared towards dividing people along communities, along states. We are gradually losing our ability to think cohesively and unitedly. And three, we are introducing economic policies that could bankrupt India and make us a colonized country once again. Just look at the picture on your screen. That is one of the last viceroys of India, Lord Mlaten and his wife, along with other Britishers, sitting in a carriage, proudly going through India. That was a time when the British ruled India. I'm sure nobody wants to be ruled by a foreign party once again. There's only one difference. In the past, it was Britain. This time, it's likely to become the United States of America. We might soon become a colony of the USA. And the two other things that I want people to remember. When we attack the Ghaznavis, remember there's a difference between a Ghazni and the Mughals. The Mughals stayed in India, generated wealth, kept it in India. The Ghaznavis and the British took money away from India. That is a big difference when politicians talk about the Mughals and go about changing names of roads that were named after the Mughal emperors. They were part of India and they kept the money in India. So we come back again to policy. Just as soon as Trump became the president of the US, our Prime Minister got a chance to have a meeting with him and went over to the US. What happened to the in that meeting is quite clearly brought out by one of the best commentators on defense and the economy, a man called Pravin Sawhney.
And it has also accepted the target of $500 billion trade by 2030 with America. In 2023, the bilateral trade is at $190 billion. So what we are looking at is in the next 5 years, we'll be flooded with American goods. So what we will be looking at, high inflation here, the value of the rupee going down.
He will tell you how the Prime Minister agreed with Trump that he would increase trade between USA and India to $500 billion. Today, our two-way trade is less than $140 billion. You are talking of quintupling the trade to $500 billion. And America is not interested in buying from India. It wants to sell to India. In other words, India will be purchasing from the US goods and services for the remaining amount of money. This will bankrupt India. This will pauperize India. And among the things that have already been discussed are import of F-35 planes. These are several $100 million planes that have not proved themselves in the two wars that America has created in this world, one in the Middle East and one in Europe. In both wars, these planes failed. The US missiles failed and the defense equipment failed. You may remember how the F-35's signals got jammed as soon as they neared Iranian airspace. And we want to buy equipment that has not functioned? Are we selling away India's money because someone is twisting our arm? Listen to this.
Don't forget that you have a bank account in such and such bank, and don't forget that your kids go to Stanford. Bluntly. And I am sure that there are many people in this room who know that this is true.
Is that not a sure recipe of being colonized once again? Look at some other indicators. Look at the clipping which you see on the screen. Piyush Goyal wants to invite America's Tesla and wants to postpone any clearances for China's BYD. At a time when India is vulnerable, its largest neighbor is China. I can change my friends, but I can't change my neighbors. It's imperative for India to play with an even hand. Why is India kowtowing to America to such an extent that it wants to forget our neighbors? And why is it that India, in the face of Trump's tariff, has not yet gone and tried to build new markets in Indonesia, in Malaysia, in the ASEAN region? Look at the data. While the US has grown at barely 3% or 4% a year, while Europe is also languishing, growing with a marginal rate, some countries have had a zero or negative growth rate. The ASEAN is growing over 8% year on year. And why can't India learn a lesson from a tiny country called Vietnam? Vietnam was bombed by the USA. Napalm bombing was done. Weapons of mass destruction were used against Vietnam. And today Vietnam continues to do business with the USA. Vietnam was attacked by China. It repelled the Chinese and continues to do business with the Chinese. Its philosophy is simple. Disputes are one thing. Business is another. Anyone who can help us make money is welcome as a trade partner. Why is it India draws lines so tight so it can't even trade? Are we not destroying ourselves? Are we not creating conditions where India will get colonized? India needs to develop better relations with alternative markets instead of running to Europe and to America constantly. Instead, India's people should be looking at East. Go there, talk to them. From the reports I get, our ministers have been imperious with the smaller countries in the East. Never mind that the exports are 10 times larger than ours. India needs to craft a new policy. A policy of friendship, a policy of not committing yourself, putting all your eggs in just one basket. India needs to make sure that it does not get bowled over by someone who wants you to purchase equipment that has not succeeded in the battlefield. There are lots of things that India can do. But for that, India must have two things. One, the ability to make more friends, and two, not to sell away and to realize when dangers come. Take a last example. When experts said that India will suffer a loss of 5 billion because of tariffs that Trump has put on India, Piyush Goyal goes on record saying, what is 5 billion for a $3 trillion country? The minister has evidently forgotten that you can't bring a trade figure and compare it with GDP. The balance of trade for India is what matters. Last year, we had a negative balance of trade of over $19 billion. This year, it has gone up even further, and $5 billion out of $20 billion is 25%, is 20 to 25%. In other words, the damage to India will go up by 25%, not nothing. This is where ministers become glib. This is where ministers go to New Zealand and want to curry favor with New Zealand or with Europe or with America. Don't make India get colonized once again. India got its freedom in 1947. Make sure its freedom remains, both economic, political, and thought leadership. That brings me to the end of today's podcast. Thanks for listening to me. And do remember, please click the subscribe button. Click the like button. And yes, most important, tell all your friends about us. We discuss things that many people don't discuss, because we think they're important for a country like India to bring back glory to this country we call our home. Thank you. You'll find us now every morning at 8:15 a.m. on weekdays, where we come out with daily news, or better still, news behind the news. Do watch it.